Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm 32, and my sister Rachel is 35. Rachel is a single mom to 2 kids, ages 8 and 6. She works full-time, but has always struggled with money. To be fair, being a single parent is tough, and I admire how hard she works to provide for her kids. But Rachel's financial issues are often self-inflicted. She has a history of impulsive buying, splurging on things she doesn't need, and relying on credit cards to fund a lifestyle she can't afford. Over the years, Rachel's financial problems have been a reoccurring issue in our family. Our parents, who are retired and living on a fixed income, have done what they can to help her out, but their resources are limited. I've stepped in from time to time as well, paying for groceries, covering the kids' extracurricular activities, or buying clothes for them. I never gave her cash because I knew she wasn't great at managing it, but I always wanted to help when I could. About 6 months ago, Rachel called me in tears. She said she was drowning in credit card debt, close to $15,000, and couldn't even make the minimum payments. She told me creditors were calling her daily and that she was terrified of losing her car, which she needed to get to work. Most heart-wrenching of all, she said she was struggling to afford basic necessities for her kids. Rachel was hysterical during the call, saying she didn't know what to do or where to turn. She painted a grim picture of her financial situation, and it broke my heart. I thought about my niece and nephew, how much they depend on her, and how devastating it would be if Rachel's financial issues spiraled out of control. I wanted to help, but I also knew giving her money was risky. After some thought, I decided to give her the $15,000 to pay off her credit card debt. However, I made it clear that this wasn't a handout. It was a one-time lifeline, and she had to agree to some conditions. The money was to be used solely for her debt. She had to take a financial management course, and she needed to create a budget moving forward. Rachel tearfully agreed, thanked me profusely, and promised she would never let me down. For the first couple of months, everything seemed fine. Rachel stopped complaining about creditors, and I assumed she had used the money as promised. Then, about 3 weeks ago, I started noticing some unusual posts on her social media. Rachel, who typically shared posts about her kids or challenges of single motherhood, was suddenly posting cryptic captions like, "Living my best life," and "So grateful for this amazing experience," along with pictures of tropical beaches, cocktails, and sunsets. At first, I thought maybe she was sharing throwback photos or had found some kind of incredible last-minute travel deal. But as the days went on, the posts became more extravagant. Her dining at 5-star restaurants, lounging by a private pool, and enjoying spa treatments. It was clear this wasn't a budget-friendly getaway. Then came the family dinner. Last weekend, we had a family dinner at our parents' house. Rachel showed up glowing and giddy, and it was immediately clear she couldn't wait to share the details of her recent trip. She launched into a detailed account of her week-long all-inclusive vacation to a luxury Caribbean resort with her boyfriend. She raved about the private beach, the gourmet meals, the boat tours, and how rejuvenated she felt. She joked about how much she deserved the trip after all the stress she'd been under, and even said, "Sometimes you just have to treat yourself, you know?" She didn't seem the least bit worried about how this might come across, especially given her recent financial struggles. Everyone at the table was stunned. I felt my anger boiling, but I kept quiet, for the moment. After the dinner, I couldn't let it go. I started going through my text messages with Rachel and cross-referenced them with the timeline of her vacation. Then I checked my bank records for the transfer I had made to her. Sure enough, I found payment confirmations that aligned perfectly with the dates of her trip. It was obvious she hadn't used the money to pay off her debt. She had lied to me and used the money to fund her luxurious getaway. I was furious. It wasn't just about the money, though that was a huge part of it. It was about the lie. Rachel had manipulated me, used her kids to guilt me into helping her, and then spent the money on herself without a second thought. I felt humiliated and livid. The following weekend, we had another family dinner. Rachel was still riding high on the glow of her vacation and couldn't resist bringing it up again. She went on and on about how incredible the trip was, showing everyone photos on her phone and describing every luxurious detail. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I calmly said, "Rachel, why don't you tell everyone how you paid for that amazing trip?" She froze for a moment and then mumbled something about saving up. That's when I pulled out the bank transfer confirmation. I explained to everyone that I had given Rachel $15,000 to pay off her credit card debt because she told me she couldn't afford to provide for her kids. Then I showed them the proof that she had used the money to fund her vacation instead. The room went silent. My parents looked horrified, and my other siblings were visibly uncomfortable. Rachel stammered, trying to defend herself. She said, "I just needed a break. You don't know how hard it is to be a single mom." But I wasn't having it. I told her this wasn't your money to use for a vacation. You lied to me and used your kids to manipulate me into helping you. That's not a break. That's selfish and deceitful. Rachel burst into tears and stormed out of the house, calling me cruel and saying I had no right to humiliate her in front of everyone. Later that night, she sent me a long, angry text, accusing me of being judgmental and unsupportive. She said I didn't understand the stress she was under and that I had no idea how hard it was to be a single mom. She claimed the trip was self-care and that she had every right to treat herself because she had mental health struggles. Our parents are furious with Rachel, but also upset with me for exposing her so publicly. My mom said, "You don't humiliate each other like that." She thinks I should have handled it privately, even though she agrees Rachel was in the wrong. Some of my siblings think I went too far, while others think Rachel got exactly what she deserved. As for me, I'm still seething. I feel betrayed and humiliated. I helped Rachel out of love and a desire to support her kids, and she turned around and used the money for a luxury vacation. I don't regret calling her out, but I do wonder if I should have handled it differently. The family dynamic is now incredibly tense, and I'm not sure where to go from here. I gave Rachel that money in good faith, trusting that she would use it to pay off her debt and get her finances in order for the sake of her kids. Instead, she lied to me, manipulated me, and shattered any trust I had in her. While I don't regret exposing her lies, I do feel bad about how it's affected the family. At the end of the day, I'm done helping Rachel financially. She's shown me that she can't be trusted, and I'm not willing to put myself in this position again. But I can't help wondering if I should have taken a different approach to confronting her. Reddit. Am I the a-hole for exposing my sister at the family dinner? OP's sister blatantly lied to OP and used her kids as a way to manipulate him into giving her money. She had the audacity to brag about her vacation while knowing how she funded it. Calling her out publicly may not have been the smoothest approach, but she deserved it. She embarrassed herself by lying and then flaunting the results of her deceit. OP didn't humiliate her. She did that on her own. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Rachel crossed so many lines here. She didn't just lie to you. She exploited your kindness and trust, and she used her children as an emotional weapon to get what she wanted. The fact that she tried to defend herself by calling the trip self-care is ridiculous. She had no business spending that money on a vacation when it was meant to help her get out of debt for her kids' sake. You had every right to expose her lies, especially since she seemed to have no remorse. Not the a-hole. While I can understand why your parents might think you should have handled this privately, Rachel's behavior was egregious. She manipulated you, betrayed your trust, and then flaunted her actions. You were right to hold her accountable. If anything, her public exposure might make her think twice before pulling something like this again. It's unfortunate that the family dynamic is strained now, but Rachel brought this on herself. Not the a-hole. You gave her a huge amount of money to help her get back on her feet, and she completely disrespected you by using it for something so frivolous. She didn't just take advantage of your generosity. She also undermined the seriousness of her situation by lying about it. You had every right to call her out, especially when she was bragging about the vacation. Don't let anyone guilt you into thinking you're the bad guy here. You did what needed to be done. I, 30 female, and my husband, 32 male, share a home with my sister-in-law and her fiancé, let's call him Tom, after they lost their jobs due to virus. When we first agreed to let them live with us, they promised us that it would only be for a month. It's been a year in which Tom has gotten a new job that doesn't nearly pay as much as his old one. We have tried to convince sister-in-law to get a job or help around the house, but she insisted that the stress of virus has made her unfit to work, and Tom agrees and refuses to make her get a job, even though his job doesn't let him make enough money for them to get an apartment in the near future. Recently, sister-in-law and Tom started planning their wedding and had the nerve to ask us to help fund an expensive wedding in a beach or foreign country. This happened while I was preparing to kick them out. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. Most of my husband's family doesn't have high-paying jobs, and asking me, the high earner of the family, to pay for stuff has been an ongoing thing. So, of course I said no, and insisted that if they wanted an expensive wedding, they would have to pay for it themselves. My husband and Tom tried to convince me to help pay, since I have a high-paying job, but I refuse. Sister-in-law stormed out of the house as soon as I said no, and has been complaining about me to anyone who would listen. My husband has always been the one insisting on keeping them around every time I bring up kicking them out. But now I feel like he has pushed it too far this time. So now the family is divided in half, with most of my relatives taking sister-in-law's side, and I am being attacked online by sister-in-law's friends and close family. Me and my husband are giving each other the silent treatment over this. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They are simply taking advantage of you, and your husband has no spine to back you up. Frankly, you should kick them out, because clearly they are incapable to appreciate your hospitality. Absolutely not. She needs to get off her butt and get a job. She ain't stressed. She's a freeloader. Not the a-hole. And what is wrong with these people? Why would your husband be okay with this? Does he not see your financial success and stress as his own? I get wanting to help family by not letting them go homeless, but a wedding isn't an immediate need. It's a luxury, and aren't parents usually the ones expected to foot the bill if any family does? I don't know, my family would never, but I've heard from other people that's supposed to be a common practice. I live with my wife and my daughter, 12 female. My daughter recently started babysitting for friends and family. It's her first job of any kind, and she makes $5 an hour. I thought it would be a good exercise to teach her about taxes and fiscal responsibility if I charged her $1 for every $5 she earns. I pay for everything for her, her education, food, clothes, extracurricular activities, etc. This isn't about her paying me back, though. It's just to teach her a general life lesson. She has no real need for the money anyways. Maybe once in a blue moon she'll go to a movie with her friend or get some lunch, for example. I said that the $1 for every $5 is her rent that she will pay to me at the end of each week. Well, the end of the week came, and she broke down crying as I tried to take $12 from her. She babysat for 12 hours that week. I felt bad, but also wanted to stick to the decision I made, and am hopeful that she will ultimately take something away from the experience. She refused to give me the rent, so I went into her room and took it from her piggy bank. I explained how the IRS does the same thing in real life, but isn't so nice about it, and that this is a learning experience. She broke down into hysterics, and my wife started crying as well. My wife has since calmed down since I helped to comfort her, but my daughter will not talk to me. I am starting to question my tactic, but also think it will instill bad habits if I reward her crying when I am trying to teach a lesson. Am I the a-hole for charging my daughter $12 in rent? Info. My wife does not work, and I also have a 10-year-old son. So currently I am supporting 4 people by myself. I'm hoping to encourage my daughter to chip in, even though as of now it's almost nothing, just to instill that value, rather than have her freeloading, even though she is earning a salary. Yes, the a-hole. You pay for her everything because you decided to have a kid. The only way this would be okay is if you were making her put $1 out of every 5 into a savings account for her or something. Let your kid be a kid. Those life lessons come soon enough. Your daughter is crying, your wife is crying, and you're asking if you're the a-hole? Unbelievable. If your lessons are just meant to help result in tears, your lesson is no good. Something else bothers me about what you are doing. What are you doing with that money? You don't mention that, and I'd like to know. By the way, you can't charge a 12-year-old rent. You are responsible for caring for your child. I'm not saying this would be right, but if someone had it in for you and reported this to CPS, it could create trouble that would not be any fun at all. Not likely, but it could happen. Edit. I appreciate the comments, and people are correct that she is not ready to contribute to the household. I'm going to get her to stop babysitting since she is clearly not ready to earn a living, and in 2 or 3 years, I may reinstate the program. Edit 2. This did not go as expected. I will drop the program entirely after 1 more month of the arrangement so as to reach a compromise. I agree that she is currently too young to understand, and therefore the program as it stands is not able to fulfill its intended purpose. I will permit my daughter to continue babysitting, on the grounds that she saves the money and pays me a lump sum for rent when she turns 18, as then she will no longer be a minor. I, 26 male, have not spoken my brother, 27 male, in 2 years. I cut him off and now he is dead to me. The reason? He slept with my long-term girlfriend at the time, Amy, 26 female, who I had been with for 10 years at that point, so from the age of 14. We were living together, talking about marriage, and they had been carrying on behind my back for at least 2 years. I believe it could be longer, but I know it was at least as long as we were living together. I found out and I told the 2 of them that I never wanted to see them again. My whole family found out from me, and things were explosive for a while. My parents went after my brother, as did my sister, to tell him how crappy what he had done was. How could he do it? Was he cruel or just dumb, etc.? Eventually things settled down, and I think what sparked that was Amy getting pregnant with his kid. I stood firm. I was not interested in having any contact, that as far as I was concerned, he was dead, and I did not care what happened to him. But he was not welcome to be in my life. I was not interested in their kid, etc. My family accepted at first, but when they realized I would avoid family gatherings where they would be present, when they realized I would ignore any invitations from my brother to meet his kid or for his wedding, when they realized we would never all be together again, they started talking to me about how difficult it is to never have us all in the same room and to feel me fade away from them. It became even more of an issue when my current girlfriend Ellie and I found out she was pregnant, which was unplanned and unexpected. We've only been together a year, but we're happy. My parents told me that it would be nice for the cousins to know each other. I said no. They brought it up again, and did so by suggesting I could ignore my brother and Amy, but still be present. I told them I got that it was painful for them, but they needed to learn to accept that their family will never be the same again, and the division will always be there. I said I did not want my child knowing Amy or my brother, and I did not care to know their kid either. They were upset, but they said they understood. It was extended family who had been asking about a baby shower for mine and Ellie's child, that came for me saying I broke my parents and had no right to crush them like that. What if they were dying? Would I really refuse them to have all 3 kids in a room one last time? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You have a right to stay away from people who hurt you so profoundly. Had no right to crush them like that. Aha! I believe they mean your brother had no right to cheat on you with your long-term girlfriend. Words are hard. I love how they have the audacity to blame you. You're so within your rights to avoid the people who caused you pain and want absolutely nothing to do with them. It's hard to ignore being in the same room as the people who betrayed you. And had, or if, they go through with the baby shower, I wouldn't put it past them to invite your brother and Amy. I've seen too many posts like that. Tread carefully around those family members. And it's not like your child will ever know about your brother and Amy in a sentimental way. So it's not possible for your child to want to know them and get sad when they can't, if that makes sense. Out of sight, out of mind, you know? I'm sorry that happened to you, but congrats on the pregnancy. It's great that you're happy. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your extended family are. Your brother made this choice and is solely responsible for this, not you. You are not obligated to face your aggressor to make some other family members happy. That's selfish on their part. As for their ridiculous question, my response would have been to kindly duck off with that guilt trip BS. Again, you were the victim here. They have no right to come at you like this. They didn't crush your parents. Your brother did. And if they have anything to say of it, they need to go to your brother. If it were me, I'd disinvite them from future contact with my family over that. The audacity would make me see red. I, 26 female, am getting married in a couple months. My fiancé and I have been preparing for our wedding a little untraditionally, and it's caused problems between my cousin, 25 female, and I. My fiancé grew up with divorced parents, and always he was completely against marriage, until he met me. He never wanted to put any kids through what he went through. It was a very nasty divorce that involved his dad embezzling millions of dollars and left his mom homeless with no money. Because of this, we agreed we would get a prenup, and we have also been doing premarital counseling. The prenup is very fair to both parties. It's simple but protects each of us from any debt that the other obtains, and includes clauses that protect me in the event of divorce. I was having lunch with my mom, my aunt, and my cousin the other day, and I told them all of this. For background, my cousin and I were very close growing up until she had a planned pregnancy young and got married the day she turned 18. When she told me she had planned the pregnancy, I told her she was selfish and irresponsible, and she was setting her kid up for failure because she wanted to be a wife and a mom before she was financially or emotionally ready. We got in a huge fight, and our relationship was never the same after. She is now divorced with 3 kids at 25 and had to move back in with her parents. After I told them all the details about the prenup and the counseling, she said, "That doesn't sound very romantic to me," and said that if my fiancé wants a prenup, he probably thinks I'm marrying him for his money. This struck a nerve with me. My fiancé started a successful business right out of high school and was making money in the higher 6 figures when he was still in college. I told her that it might not be the most romantic, but neither is getting a divorce, and the fact that he made sure our prenup protects me as well makes me even more in love with him, because if we do get a divorce, I won't be stuck with his kids and no money. This started a long screaming match that ended when my cousin asked why it made me happy to see her struggle. I said it didn't make me happy, but I did think it was her own fault. That was the final straw, and she stormed out of the house and drove off. We haven't spoken since. I know that I said some harsh things, but I never would have said them if she hadn't made comments about me and my upcoming marriage first. Edit. The stuff I said to my cousin when she first got pregnant was harsh, and I know that. Our whole family was upset with her, and she came to me thinking I would tell her what she wanted to hear. I printed out statistics of what happens to teen moms and their kids, and told her that she was selfish for putting what she wanted over what's best for her future kids. She was 18 and still in high school, and her ex-husband was always a troublemaker. I didn't think she had considered any of the harsh realities of motherhood. It seemed like everyone but her could see what a terrible decision it was, and I thought if she really listened to me, she would be open to either adoption or A. This is probably going to be unpopular, but not the a-hole. You didn't attack her. She called your plans not very romantic, and you explained you didn't want to end up in a certain situation. If that happens to be her situation, it's not your fault. Life is not a fairy tale, and adults need to have backup plans just in case, even if that takes away some of the romanticism. Romanticism won't feed you or your kids. And if she wants to feel attacked, that's her problem. But love is not always enough. That is a fact, and she should have learned it by now. She just doesn't want to admit her past recklessness. Otherwise, she would be happy that you are trying to protect yourself from struggling the way she does. But no, she would much rather see you make her same choice to feel validated. Not the a-hole. She is just petty that you're happy, and she realized she ruined her life. All this "be the bigger person" is the stupidest thing anyone said. Just a nice way for saying be a doormat. I don't think you're the a-hole. It's not your problem that she doesn't find prenup romantic. But it depends on what exactly were you saying during those fights. Sometimes people shouldn't stick their noses in other people's marriages. My brother, June, 27 male, has been dating Carrie, 26 female, for almost 3 years now. She's from a country in Southeast Asia, and they met when she was living here in the UK. She recently had to move back home in November because of some projects she wanted to do, so they did long distance. Carrie returned by early March for a short holiday that got extended due to virus. She's been staying at my brother's ever since, and they both work from home. I live with my parents and work from home. She's been trying to get home since March, but due to the complicated situation in her home country, she lives with her family and her grandma is very vulnerable health-wise. She has been unable to arrange a trip back home. Quarantine facilities are full, testing is unreliable, and her province has been in and out of lockdown for months, and it's been difficult to arrange transport. I think she's exaggerating the situation as people are already going on holiday in Greece, Italy, etc. here. She's a teacher back in her home and has started teaching online since classes resumed. She is receiving a salary, but as a third world country, it's nowhere near what my brother makes. But my point of view is, since she's earning money, she should find a way to split rent with my brother. June earns a good salary that can support both of them, but it's the principle of the thing. I brought this up with June, and he said that Carrie's extremely homesick. has been anxiously phoning her embassy like 4 times a week for repatriation, but they're just swamped. June says she pays for some groceries, but it's only once in a while. I feel like my brother's being taken advantage of. She's earning a salary. She should pay rent or go home. She's not on holiday anymore. I brought it up with my parents and they said it's none of my business. I disagree. So I texted Carrie that I've been uncomfortable with her treating my brother as an ATM. She was earning too and should contribute some to the household. She hasn't responded, but I received a nasty text from my brother telling me to leave Carrie alone. Am I the a-hole for asking my brother's girlfriend to stop freeloading? Yes, the a-hole. Your brother is an adult and he and his long-term partner have an agreement that works for them. Why is your view of any relevance? It's not your money, your home, or your relationship. You've overstepped hugely here. Yes, the a-hole. It's not your relationship, so stay out of it. Unless your brother tells you he's unhappy with the situation, it's none of your business. Also, just because the British government isn't taking the virus seriously, it doesn't mean that other countries aren't.